What's up, and welcome inside the opening line, part of the Elite Fantasy Sports Network. Corey and Benny coming at you on a Monday. Benny, what's going on with you, big homie? How was the weekend?
Not too bad, little Father's Day action. We cooked out in the yard. So it was, my dad, my brother, and me, and then all the kids were running around out there. So we got to sit down and just have some beers and eat a bunch of food. And, my wife and my mom and, the kids helped out cooking and putting lunch and all that together. So it's always nice when you don't got to do anything.
Yeah, no doubt. When the grill master gets to sit down and be grilled upon, there you go right there.
It's literally the one day a year it happens. So,
so take advantage of it. Cool. I got the kids up here. They're resting right now, so hopefully they can remain asleep. But if not, it'll be all right. This is what we got to do. It is what it is. We'll get into a little bit of baseball later on. Get ready for the day. What's going on a Monday? Your boy NBA draft coming up this week, so going to be a fun week around here. I know we're supposed to go downtown, meet up with Ja tomorrow, and then Wednesday, actually. Ja has a suite at the stadium, but it's like only room for one more person. Now, mind you, I'm always by myself, except for this week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got the kids. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I know. So trust me, I would have definitely enjoyed it. I don't know if he's throwing out the first pitch or not, but I'm sure the NBA is doing something with that, with the draft coming up. But obviously the draft is the big story in the NBA right now. It finally goes down, Benny. It happens. It takes place. AD is a Laker, and now it's all kind of rumors floating around about other people that's going to join him with LeBron James in LA. The purple and gold, showtime, Benny. Are they back?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if Anthony Davis stays healthy, you have Anthony Davis and LeBron James on the same team. That's pretty good. And they got to keep Kyle Kuzma, too, which is huge.
That was very important to LeBron.
Yeah, and I mean, of all those young guys, Kuzma was really the one that, I would have wanted to have my finger on and keep in the organization as well. So I think that they made a really good trade here. I mean, they got rid of Lonzo, they got rid of Ingram, they got rid of Josh Hart. There's a whole bunch of draft picks there. I mean, again, the number 4 pick this year is the big one. Basically, the way the deal works out is like, depending on where that pick ends up next year, as long as it's not in the top 8, which again, unless LeBron and Anthony Davis both get hurt, it's probably not going to be a top 8 pick. So they get the pick the next year, and then in like 2022 or 2023, they have the right to swap picks for the next couple years, which again, you assume as long as Anthony Davis and LeBron James stay healthy, those are probably going to be picks like, I don't know, 18 to 30, somewhere in that range.
Probably
so, I mean,
30s. If it goes yep.
Yeah, so I mean, overall, it's not like it was a good deal, I think, for both teams, right? Because they knew they had to get rid of Anthony Davis. They got a big haul of players for him. I don't think they got any superstars for him, but they got a whole bunch of guys that are going to be solid pieces that they can add to that team. So I really think everybody kind of walks away happy here.
No, I think it was a good trade. Look, the Pelicans now have a nice young core. You put Zion in the mix, depending on what they do with the number 4 pick. They could take that 4th pick and say, you know what, we're in win now mode. Let's get a piece. Forget getting a draft pick. Let's get a piece. We're in win now mode. You know what I'm saying? The Warriors feel like they could be crippled, even though I think the Dubs would be fine. But, you got situations in the Western Conference where someone new can emerge. I just saw where Drew Holiday opted out, whatever. So he is ready for him, to get paid if he's going to remain in New Orleans. So that's free agency. The draft's coming up this week, and free agency is getting ready to start. I think it's a pretty good look for both teams. The deal was finally done. It worked out pretty well. These Knicks, Benny, man, it's funny how this happened. It was supposed to be Zion, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant, and now it could very well not be any of them.
It's not going to be any of them.
Kemba Walker is looking like he's going to resign. Jimmy Butler could end up in L.A. It could be like Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday.
Hey, listen, I love Drew Holiday. I think people sleep on Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday can play well on both ends of the floor here, offense and defense. The problem is, I mean, when you have all this money and you were hoping for KD, Kyrie, and Zion, when you come up with Drew Holiday, RJ Barrett, and, whoever else that other guy is that they got money for to go spend on right now, it's not really what Knicks fans were looking for, right? I mean, that's the thing.
It's a cursed franchise, Benny.
No, I mean, everything rots from the top down, right? I mean, that's kind of the way it is. And
100% correct.
We've talked about Dolan many times here and how, it just doesn't seem like he cares. Like, he really just doesn't care. Listen, and honestly, here's the thing. when you have a franchise that is a perennial loser like the Knicks have been basically for the last 20 years, normally they take a hit in attendance and there's problems and things like that. You and I both know Madison Square Garden sold out every game, and the tickets cost an arm and a leg. So it's not like Dolan's losing money. So really, what incentive does he have? You could throw his crap team out there, and he's still making money on it. So
you're 100% correct, and that's what it is, Benny. It doesn't make a difference what the product is because Madison Square Garden sells out every night. The Knicks are still outside the Lakers, the most profitable franchise in the NBA. So don't have to be good. Both the teams don't have to be good. That's interesting. But yeah, AD's with the Lake Show now. So obviously, you know what I'm saying, going to be interesting to see how those numbers line up with the Lakers win total and future props and
3-1. They are 3-1 to win the championship right now.
Like that. So they're the favorite.
3-1. Just overnight. Overnight, honestly, as soon as the trade was made, I went to look because I wanted to see what they were at because I said, let me see what they're at before it changes. The number already changed. They were 3-1. 3-1 to win the championship right now.
That's pretty good. So they, well, you know, if you could have got them earlier, but yeah, so that makes the Pelicans the favorite going into the season. Obviously, it still has to play out on the court. What do you think about the Yankees move this week, picking up E5, Edwin Encarnacion?
I mean, you just added another great bat to the lineup. You added another great right-handed bat to the lineup. I don't know if that's exactly what you needed, but I don't think – they didn't give up much to get him. You know, it's basically them taking on – he's got, I think, $20 million this year and $20 million next year left on his contract. So really what it was kind of a money dump for a money dump kind of situation, but I have no problem with it. I mean, Encarnacion is still a very, very good hitter. So picking him up probably puts him in DH. Luke Voigt's been playing a pretty good first base. So you're probably looking at Encarnacion being a DH going forward. Again, I mean, I think the Yankees' problem is more with the pitching than the hitting, especially with Stanton coming back and Judge coming back. But, I mean, you look at that lineup top to bottom right now, there's really not a weak spot in it.
No. You got murderous row. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a lot of raking going on. Obviously, those big time power hitters. You know what? They have to hit in October though. Really, clutch hitting is what it's going to come down to. Clutch hitting and play out the bullpen. And Eddie is not a bull. It's not an arm. You know what I'm saying? But you know the pitching is going to be important. Listen, this is all about October when it comes to talking about New York Yankee baseball. Got this draft going on right now, Benny. I want to talk to you about your team, some of the picks you made, and how you're putting this together. Tyreek Hill on the team. I'm starting to hear some whispers that the Tyreek Hill may just actually be all right. That this girl is working with him to kind of get him out of this situation, whatever. Kind of take some of the rap on this for him, like we kind of knew she would at some point. Obviously, Hill, if Hill is not, if Hill is exonerated and not suspended, he's not going to be available for you on the 4-5 turn. That's more like the middle of the second, more like the 2-3 turn at the latest. You know what I'm saying? You know what type of talent now that Tyreek Hill has. Your other wide receivers are Keenan Allen and Mike Evans. Evans is interesting. You left T.Y. on the board when you took Evans.
Yep.
My thing was I'm giving Evans a slight edge over T.Y. also because I think Bruce Arians is a type of offensive mind that's perfect for Mike Evans' skill set.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. I mean, we talked about it on the show. I think this was my pick on Friday. Right before we did the show, we talked about it. And I said, these were the two guys. Keenan Allen, I knew I was going to take when I got to the turn and he was there. I made that pick right away. I didn't even have to think about that one when he was there for me.
You don't think Mike Williams is going to start to eat into that production with Keenan Allen?
I mean, listen, Mike, my whole thing, I mean, you also have Hunter Henry in there too, who we can talk about later as well coming back. But, I mean, Keenan Allen is just, again, he's one of those guys that he's going to get the targets, right? When Keenan Allen is healthy, Keenan Allen puts up ridiculous numbers. I mean, he always has for the last couple of years. The problem with Keenan Allen has always been the health thing. But I have no problem going with Keenan Allen again here. I think he's going to get around 80 to 100 catches. I think he's going to be over 1,000 yards, and I think he's going to wind up with, maybe 6 to 10 touchdowns somewhere in that range. So no problem starting.
It's enough footballs to go around. My thing with Allen is he's a true fantasy one, if you ask me, in my opinion. Obviously, durability has been an issue, but I think we've gotten 2 straight back-to-back seasons out of Keenan Allen where durability has not been an issue. So you don't have to worry about that. I love the Mike Evans pick. Running back, you started out with Saquon Barkley. This draft is still going on. I'm on the clock right now, as a matter of fact. We're in round 8. I guess I'll get ready to go ahead and make my pick while we're doing this. Running back, she went with Barkley, obviously, at 1-1. on that 4-5 turn, you hopped in and you took Tariq Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
I had just took Sony Michel a couple of picks before that. Phil Lindsay went also a couple picks before that. Did you like Michelle or Lindsay more so than Cohen, or was Cohen your guy?
No, that was the list, actually. I had Michelle and Lindsay ahead of him. You took Sony Michel, and then I think Thad had the pick right before me. He took Lindsay literally right before me. Lindsay was on the top of my queue. A guy that I really like. We talked about him last week, so you know I was a big fan of him as well. I ended up with Cohen as my second running back. And again, at that point, running backs had started becoming like a little bit of a run again at that point in the draft. And there weren't a lot of guys left that I looked at and was like, yo, this is somebody who can give me consistent production. I like Tariq Cohen a lot in this spot, though, because it is a best ball situation, right, Corey? And there's going to be games where Cohen has bad games, right? Like last year it was Jordan Howard. This year it's the young kid that they brought in. I forget his name. But they got somebody else who's going to be playing that role. The thing that I like and what I've been hearing out of camp is that they're lining Cohen up more in the slot, kind of making him a little bit of a slot receiver to get him, his receiving. And that's what I really like about him. I mean, this is a PPR, and it's also one of those where you get a little bit of a bonus for first downs. So a guy like Cohen who can pick up first downs, either running the ball with his legs or catching it out of the backfield and making some things happen, is somebody that I like. Now, again, I like him more in this best ball format than I would if I have to kind of pick him as a starter every week, because he's going to have some of those weeks where he only ends up with, 2 or 3 catches and 50 or 60 total yards and gets you like 8 or 9 fantasy points. But we've seen those other weeks with Tariq Cohen where he makes 6 or 7 catches, has 70, 80 total yards and gets in the end zone 1 or 2 times. Those are the weeks in best ball where he's putting up 20 points for me that I'm going to be really happy that I made that pick. So, really going wide receiver heavy like I did, taking Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, and Tyreek Hill in rounds 2, 3, and 4, it meant that I'm going to have to, probably going to have a little bit of a weaker running back group outside of Saquon Barkley, who was my number 1 overall. So that's kind of the way I'm looking to build this team is, probably pick up a couple more running backs in the next couple rounds, just so I have a couple guys there figuring, somebody's going to have a big week. A lot of times it's going to be Cohen, always going to have Barkley having a big week. And then, hopefully these other guys that I'm drafting, the Rashad Pennies and, whatever other guys I wind up picking up here can have a couple good weeks and help get me through.
Before we get to Penny, and I want to ask you about the Penny pick, I'll talk about a dude that was a teammate of Penny's last year. That's Mike Davis. He's that second piece in the Bears backfield now. The thing with Mike Davis, him and Jordan Howard probably about the same as runners. Mike Davis catch the football, though, which Jordan Howard could not do. So I think Mike Davis is somebody that could be an interesting play a little bit later on in the drafts, too. I like where Cohen is going, but I think, Mike Davis is a guy that don't sleep on Mike Davis, because his ability to catch and the Bears' ability to run offense, you know what I'm saying? I think Mike Davis, I put it like this, if you have Mike Davis on your team, at some point this year, you're going to say to myself, damn it, I'm glad I got Mike Davis, and he's going to go into your lineup. What's your thinking? What's your thought process with the Rashad Penny pick?
I got to be honest, at that point in the draft, I was looking for running back depth, and of the guys that were available, he was the one I liked the most. I think you basically have a coin toss between him and Carson to see who's going to wind up with those running back carries in that Seattle backfield. And the thing that I like is Seattle's a team that is kind of run heavy. They do have Russell Wilson and all that, but they would rather run the football as much as they can here. So it's really just kind of banking on the fact that, when you get to like round 7 and you're looking for some running back depth, he was the guy that I liked the most of the guys that were available there. It's basically a whole bunch of guys that are likely to be backups. He's somebody that, again, Carson was hurt last year. We don't know if he's going to be 100% in camp. He's somebody who could wind up being a starter. So that was kind of my thought process there. It's not like I'm telling people I love Rashad Penny, make sure you go get him. But in the 7th round, in the 7th round when there was a whole bunch of running backs who I like better that were already off the board, he was kind of the best house on the bad block,
Yeah, I like that. You know what I'm saying? There you go right there. You go back. It's all kind of stuff going on. Control is falling. You know what I'm saying? Poor Kennedy. I haven't seen her breathe, so I need to check on her. You know what I'm saying? She hasn't moved. You know what I mean? Okay. So kids is all right. I hope I'm all right when I make my next pick, Benny, because I need to grab a tight end, and there's a couple of tight ends at the top of the board right now. I'm on the clock right now too. I know a little bit later on I do have one that I'm definitely going to grab because I think it's a breakout season coming up for Dallas Goedert this year. Zach Ertz don't play 16 games in a row back-to-back seasons. And in Philadelphia, they've already been talking up Goddard as a player. They want to get involved more this year.
Mm-hmm.
But that's if Carson Wentz is okay with that, because Carson Wentz only likes to run certain routes. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know. Does Dallas Goedert go to Bible class with him?
I know, right?
If not, we might have a problem. We got to figure that out.
You know what I'm saying? Remember when they asked Wentz, when they had that thing at the end of the year, and it looks like Wentz was a little bit upset that Foles was getting all his credit again, and they said he had a little bit of attitude. They asked him about it, and he said, yeah, it could have been true. And I was like, wow, he admitted it. But anybody who knows me, been around my work and stuff like that, has know about the story of me and Bigfoot. And Bigfoot is Jared Cook, and me and Jared Cook have had some. Jared Cook, nobody lets you down like Jared Cook. Jared Cook's at the top of my queue. He's a New Orleans Saint playing with Drew Brees. Fantasy owners are romantic. You burn a fantasy owner once, they're likely to never go back to you. I don't want to be that romantic guy. I'm thinking about taking David Njoku just not to have to deal with the Jared Cook situation when he lets me down like he always does. But Benny, if you're not biased like me, what do you think of Jared Cook and NO? This is the thing with Jared Cook. The talent. We always talk about Jared Cook's talent. And that's what scares me, because talent don't score fantasy points.
No, and if you looked at Jared Cook last year too, he was a guy that – I like him a lot in this format, because he was a guy last year that had some really big games and then disappeared. He had those games with 1 catch for 8 yards, and then he came back and had like a 9-catch, 110-yard, 2-touchdown game, and you were like, what the hell was that, and where did that come from?
That wasn't week 15 or 16 when you needed him the most.
I mean, again, he also played for the Raiders last year, who, in week 15, 16, knowing that he wasn't going to resign and be back with them, kind of just were like, whatever. And, like you said, the Raiders weren't really looking to win games last year. I got to be honest, Corey, those are the 2 tight ends that are at the top of my queue too, that I have, that I have starred up here. Now, again, I took Hunter Henry a round or 2 ago, so I'm not in the market again for number 2, for a second tight end this early. There are other things I want, but I do think that's the question that it comes down to. Those are the 3 guys that I was discussing, like with myself before I took Henry in the last round. I took Henry over the 2 of them because I thought he had more upside. I feel like, Njoku, both of these guys are going to be in high-scoring offenses, right? I mean, we expect Cleveland to put up some points. We expect New Orleans to always put up some points. Between the 2 of them, though, I think I prefer Cook, because there's more mouths to feed in Cleveland this year than there was last year, right? And it's not like Njoku was a huge target kind of guy. Outside of the running backs in New Orleans, other than Mike Thomas, there's really not a high-volume pass catcher on that team. Cook being like a red zone target for them too, like I feel like there's more of a chance for Jared Cook to have some big weeks than there is for David Njoku, given the other weapons that both of them have around them.
And I can agree with you 100% on that, and that's the same way that I would play it right there. Put my biases aside and go ahead and – no, I'm not going to put my bias aside. I can't pull the trigger on him. Even in the mock draft video, I can't do it.
I think it's very close. I think it's very close between the 2. So I wouldn't –
mock draft. It's not about me. It's about the user or the viewer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And probably the right pick right there. Like you said, it's less mouths to feed in that situation. So Thad would be up, and then it'd be on you, Benny. You know what I'm saying? Or you're not even – quarterback is nowhere near your top of your queue, right?
Now, see, I'm going to be honest right now.
Because it's value, right? It's a value sitting out there right now, Benny.
Well, you know who I'm talking about, right? Who do you think's on the top of my list?
Deshaun Watson.
Absolutely. Like, he's right there right now. And normally I wouldn't go right here. But I have Watson
on the 8-9 turn, Benny.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm at a spot now where I could take Watson as my first pick of the 9th round.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty studly if I can get him there. So I got to be honest. Normally, I'm normally the guy in round 14 who's going to be looking at, whoever's left out of that, like Jared Goff, Cam Newton, Ben Roethlisberger, like those guys right there, Phillip Rivers. But if you can get one of those guys that you expect to be a little bit ahead, like a Watson, somebody who can put up big numbers with his arms and also put up some numbers with his legs, I'm seriously considering Deshaun Watson here. I may wind up grabbing him if that doesn't right now.
Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm playing a little bit of quarterback chicken, right, with this one right here. And this is like, listen, we went hot for this one. It's with the staff. So I'm quite sure it's going to be viewed someplace and written about and dissected. But you know, it's nothing on this, but I still want to put my full drafting effort into it. And the way I'm looking at it right now, Benny, is my next pick kind of depends on what you do, because
Right.
I'm trying to get the value correct. Like, I don't want Watson, right? I have Watson on. You know, I'm going to have Watson. What I want to do, I want Matt Ryan. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not going to pull Matt Ryan up over Watson. So
Exactly.
I need you to take Watson to justify me taking Matt Ryan. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Rodgers still on the board too.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan over Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers hasn't been healthy in 2 years.
You know, I think it's funny. Like, this is a draft with a whole bunch of guys that work here at our company, right? So these are all guys that are, you know, literally playing daily, season long. Like, you know, I love our staff because everybody here is a freaking degenerate. We all are gonna have a ton of different leagues and do a ton of different drafts right now. But it feels like everybody who's kind of following, you know, again, I have a set strategy when I go into a draft, but you have to adjust to the board, you know? Like I said, normally I don't want a quarterback until I'm in the double-digit rounds because I feel like there's not much of a difference. But like you said, if I'm sitting here at round 9 with a chance to get Deshaun Watson, who I have ranked as one of my top 3 quarterbacks coming into the season, I might have to pull the trigger on that. So depending on what Thad does, hopefully Thad takes him, and then it's not a question for me. I don't have to kind of break my rule of drafting a QB too early. But I'll be honest with you, Corey. If it gets to my pick and he's still on the board, there's a good chance he's not getting to your next pick.
I trust me. I know that 100%. I want to talk about the running backs at the top of the queue right now. 2 interesting names. Number 1 is Naheem Hines. Hines last season, if I'm not mistaken, did he have 63 catches last year?
63 catches for 425 yards, and he had another 300 yards rushing. So a little over 700 total yards plus 63 catches. So you got some pretty good fantasy points out of him. And I think he scored a couple touchdowns too. I think he had like 2 or 3 receiving and 2 or 3 rushing as well.
Hines is interesting to me, and so is Jalen Samuels. I think I'm not saying that we're going to have a full-on timeshare, but I think Jalen Samuels will be mixed in more so than he was this past season out there in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I would give Hines the slight edge over Samuels, but I'm looking at Hines and Marlon Mack. Of course, Connor and Samuel, they have their split too. I think Hines and Mack could be more of a split than Samuels and Connor, but I also think Pittsburgh's offense is more efficient than Indianapolis offense. I still think the Indianapolis offense is going to run through Ebron, Hilton, and Luck.
Well, here's why I would take Samuels over Hines.
Interesting.
I'm going to call it the D'Angelo Williams theory, right?
He won every week.
That's it. I mean, no matter who's the guy in Pittsburgh, whoever the guy has been, and again, no knock on Le'Veon Bell, who's now on my Jets, you know, no knock on James Conner, who stepped in, but we've seen this happen for years now, right? Like, whoever the running back is on Pittsburgh, Le'Veon Bell, he gets hurt. D'Angelo Williams comes in, has a big season. You know, last year it was Connor. Connor got hurt. Samuels came in, had some big games. The starting running back on the Pittsburgh Steelers is always a fantasy asset that you want to own.
Yep.
We already know that Connor and the coaches have been talking about kind of lightening his load a little bit. You know, they don't want to give him 25, 30 touches like they were doing early in the season last year. So of those 2 guys, I think that Samuels has more of the upside. You know, Hines is somebody to me that is almost strictly a third down back, right? Like, I know they're going to give him a couple carries here and there, but even if Marlon Mack goes down, I'm not convinced that they think Nyheim Hines is going to be the 20-touch-a-game every down back. So, you know, you have a chance of getting that with Samuels. I don't think you have a chance of getting that guy with Nyheim Hines.
I can dig that. I can understand that. I'm looking at those 63 receptions, though, and how great that is in the PPR. The thing about those 63 receptions is it's not like the prime of what's white boy that played for the Patriots kept messing up his hamstring. Dynamic PPR back.
Is it Burkhead?
Not Burkhead. Played for the Chargers.
The kid. He was a 1AA player and like led 1AA and all of Russia. I know exactly who you're talking about, but I can't remember his freaking name.
Did he have a cup of coffee with the Jets at one point?
I think he did, actually.
Yeah.
I think he went from the Patriots to the Jets before he wound up in San Diego.
Yeah, that guy, whoever his name is.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't think of his name right now.
I've won many championships with him. He was great PPR running back. but you always knew that he showed up every game. A lot of these PPR backs, see these 63 receptions, a lot of these receptions are going to be on your bench. That's the problem with a player like Nyheim Hines. You know what I'm saying?
True. But again, he had a couple big weeks last week. Like, if you get a week where they go down early and they're throwing the ball, he could end up with like an 8 to 10 catch kind of week.
Danny Woodhead.
Danny Woodhead, there you go.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and this is a best ball, Corey. That's the thing. Like, you draft, you have to take that into consideration. Like, I draft a little differently in a best ball than I do when I have to set a lineup every week, right? Like, Tariq Cohen is one of those guys. His production is so wild and tough to predict that there's a lot of times when you have him in a league where you're setting a lineup every week that you miss the big Tariq Cohen week, right? Like, remember last year, we thought it was going to be a Jordan Howard week, and all of a sudden Cohen had the big week, or vice versa. But in the best ball, you don't really have to worry about that kind of stuff, right? Like, when he has that 8-catch week in best ball, he's going to be on your best team. You know what I mean? So I'm more apt to take a guy like that in this kind of a format than I am if we're playing like, NFFC main event and I got to set my lineup every week and, I'm going to go mad trying to figure out when the good weeks and when the bad weeks out of them are.
Trust me, I've been on that situation many a times right there. This right here, we're talking about these two running backs, y'all, on the 8-9 turn. This is where you'd be looking at guys like Nyheim Hines and Jalen Samuels. So we got that done right there. I'll be back on the clock. Like I said, I may take the quarterback. If I don't, I may go with one of those running backs, depending on how the picks in front of me shake out. Don't forget Fantasy Guru. FantasyGuru.com is the site where all the fantasy football season-long stuff that myself, Benny, everybody, the whole crew, Jeff Mans will be doing. You want to hop over there now and sign up for 2019 because it's going to be live and lit content coming out daily. Trust me, I know because I got the content schedule. And I'm telling you, after these kids leave, I'm going to be knee-deep in it, and we're going to be ready to go. So there you go right there. All right, Benny, let's start to get into – speaking right quick before I leave off this football.
Good.
Did you have a problem with Baker Mayfield's commentary about Duke Johnson? Because, with all the running backs coming in, Duke Johnson asked to be traded because, he wants to get his. And right. Kind of was like, get down with us or don't be a part of us. I thought Baker was out of line with that.
Here's my thing, right? If Baker's going to be your leader going forward, which I think your quarterback should be. I want a vocal quarterback. I don't want a guy like an Eli Manning who just leads by example. Yeah. I want a guy who's going to be vocal and be like and get everybody to do their job and be accountable, right? And for all intents and purposes, that's what everybody has said Baker Mayfield was going all the way back to his college days. There was a story that I remember reading about him walking into like the Oklahoma weight room and, giving out whatever his call was and everybody kind of, giving it back to him. And they talked about that was one of the reasons why they drafted him, because he is the kind of guy that can be a leader. He could he's an alpha male. He could walk into a locker room of a whole bunch of other guys, and guys are going to follow him and be drawn to him because of his personality and because of the way he goes. So I don't have any problem with my quarterback calling out guys and telling them, hey, we got something special here. You need to get on the same page if you want to be a part of this. I think there's a way to do that, though. The problem I had with it wasn't so much that he said it and was trying to light a fire under Duke Johnson. I feel like you can say that without being as critical, right?
Yeah.
He was a little bit more on the critical side than I would have liked to have seen him. There's a way to be like, hey, get your stuff together without kind of calling a guy out. I felt like he did that. Maybe the words he used were the wrong way, but I have no problem with him being that leader and holding guys accountable. You need that from your star, from your quarterback, from your main guys on your team.
I get what you're saying, but my thing is this. If you, say tomorrow, Corey, I'm not going to be doing this show. These people need to get my money right. I'm going to be like, damn, all right. You know what I'm saying? That's your business. You feel what I'm saying? And that's when I look at situations like that, it's always been to me, you know what, don't deal with somebody else's pockets, their financials, their contract situation. Leave that to that person, and that's their business. If you're going to be with us, then you're with us. You know what I'm saying? So I think some of the veterans did call Baker to the side. It's like the second time that Baker has been called to the side in the past couple of months by some of the veterans on that team. So I think it's going to be an interesting ride with Baker Mayfield. The Cleveland Browns are going to be a very interesting ball club this year. I wish they was going to be on Hard Knocks.
I was just about to say the same thing. That was such a missed opportunity right there by
you didn't want it last year though, right?
Yeah, but nobody cared about that. Last year they sucked. There was no reason. Do you ever notice this? They don't put the teams on Hard Knock that are the good stories. They put the teams on Hard Knocks that they expect to be a disaster.
Yeah.
Like they put them on last year because they expect them to be a disaster, and this year it's the Raiders because they expect them to be a disaster. So
Raiders,
I don't know. I guess they're looking for drama.
Yep. Elite Sports Betting is the sports betting leg of the Elite Fantasy Sports Network or the Elite Sports Network. You want to hop in there. Baseball plays are coming down daily. I saw where the boys were 12-1 in their plays the other day. Benny, we don't put these picks in the package, but we know a little bit something about something. Anything that you see sticks out to you today that you like?
I didn't love the prices on a lot of stuff that I saw today. There are a couple things that I was looking at, but I didn't really love the prices. Couple games that I really like. I really like the Angels today over the Blue Jays up there. I don't think Edwin Jackson should be a professional pitcher at this point in his career. So that's something that I'm kind of looking at here today. Still like my boy Mike Soroka for Atlanta going up against the New York Mets today. I think that's a soft matchup for him. The guy had 8 stud starts in a row, and then he pitched like crap last game against Pittsburgh. But Atlanta came back and won that game. So if you were betting on him, you still wound up making money on it. So I'm going to keep riding the Soroka starts like I've been. He's been making some money for me. He's another guy I like. Let's see. What else we got here? Love the Dodgers today, but there's really no value in it. I think Kenta Maeda is like a minus 250 favorite.
Wow.
It's one of those ones where like maybe you throw it in there like, France in the World Cup today, the French women should win that game easy, but they're like minus 700 favorites. So if you're just trying to build like a whole favorite thing and get close to like even money on it, like throw the French women on there, throw the Dodgers on there, maybe find one other, big favorite that you're really confident in. And you could probably get it close to like even money on a 2-3 team parlay there that should hit.
No doubt. But one thing I will, and that makes perfect sense. But one thing I will tell y'all out there that's been laying it down. You bet. You know how it go. You know how in the great Harlem Classic, paid in full, Camp goes blanks get shot every day. B. Mm-hmm. My thing with betting is underdogs win every day. B. You know what I'm saying?
No, that is true. Yeah. That is true, but there's a difference between an underdog and one, like when I look for teams to bet on for baseball, right? Like here's kind of, quick my thought process here. I want to know that the team I'm betting on has the superior pitcher who should dominate that lineup. Mm-hmm. When you look at the Dodgers, you have Kenta Maeda, who's a well above average pitcher, going up against a San Francisco lineup that pretty much sucks. Maeda's weakness is really left-handed bats, and you look at the left-handed bats on San Francisco, like, all right, Brandon Belt, that's somebody to be concerned with. But outside of Brandon Belt, like, Joe Panic might be the next best hitter that they have on that team from the left side. Like, that's not somebody that I'm really going to be all that upset about. And then the other thing I like is when the other team's pitcher is not good, which the young kid Beatty that they got pitching there is not really a good pitcher. And then you have one of the more elite offenses in baseball too. So, again, there's no locks in life. Nothing is guaranteed except for, death taxes or whatever. But to me, the Dodgers are a very, very good play today. Again, I can't take them straight up at minus 250. I'm not going to bet $100 to win, $4 like that's that's not even worth it for me. But if you have them, the French women who should win easy in their World Cup match, you put 2 or 3 of those teams that should win easy together. If you can get it to where you're betting 100 to win $90 or $100, that's something I'd be willing to use them with.
There you go, right there. Hold on 1 second. Big piece of chicken. Father's Day. I have to do it, right? The great joke, Chris Rock, you know what I'm saying? Everybody tell your mother how nice her hair looks. Tell your mother how pretty the food. Tell your mother how pretty she is. Tell your mother how nice her hair looks. Tell your mother, what a great job she's doing. Buy your mother something for Mother's Day. Do this for your mother. Do that for your mother. But when it comes to your father, the only thing he gets is the big piece of chicken. Yesterday was Father's Day, so a big piece of chicken to all the fathers out there. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I'm going to give mine to women's U.S. soccer player Carly Lloyd. She scored for a 6th consecutive World Cup match. And I actually had some money on her to score a goal in that one. So not only am I happy for her for breaking a record, but I'm happy for her for breaking a record and making me some money. So big piece of chicken, Carly Lloyd over the weekend.
Shout out to Carly Lloyd. All right. There you go right there. Once again, I want to thank everybody for rocking with us. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. For my main man, Benny, Corey Parson, the Fantasy Executive, we are out.